Hi everyone, it's Tansel here. And today I want to talk about reading, more specifically for people that are leaders, entrepreneurs, action takers, as I like to call them. And a lot of people don't realize that the importance of reading, I should say. And we know we do place importance on reading, but we actually don't know how important it can be because of not just all the knowledge and stuff, but what's involved in terms of the brain process of reading. Now, when we're taught to read, and as I explained in my other videos, we're taught to read word for word, right? And we never really graduated from there. And what we need to be able to do is read in images. So in order to do that, we need to be able to create and go through some sort of a system to be able to encode those words into images. Now, the action of doing that requires you to know certain strategies like read with your finger in groups of words, all those type of techniques that I've explained before. But the actual reading itself is more important than being able to speed read, obviously, because why would you want to read fast if you can't remember what you read? So the whole aim should obviously be to improve our knowledge. And not just for that, but what do we do with that knowledge? We take action on them. So for leaders especially, you're the type of person that has to be able to decipher and encode this information really quickly, right? Because you've got a lot of stuff to do. You don't have much time. So reading becomes more and more challenging, especially if you've got a lot of meetings, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of running, toing and froing everywhere. So to be able to place emphasis on reading requires a lot of effort. In fact, a lot of successful people spend time reading early in the mornings or during the exercise. I read somewhere that Bill Gates often goes on the treadmill and reads at the same time. So the importance on reading cannot be obviously underestimated. But the important thing is, what can we do? As leaders, as entrepreneurs, action takers, people that are striving to better themselves, what can we do to start reading, right? And it's not just reading, say, one book a month or something. I'm talking about 5-6 books a week potentially, because we do have that in us to be able to do that, and not just read it and forget it, right? Read it, remember it, and take action on them. Because that's the important part of reading, is to be able to encode that information, get it in our heads and do something with it, not just for ourselves, but for humanity, because that's what the information's there for. I mean, if I write a book, for example, and I've written a few, it's no use holding that information to myself, which is the reason why I've written a book. So the people that have written books obviously want that information out there for you, because they've gone ahead and done it. They've gone ahead and achieved what you're possibly trying to achieve, right? So books often give you the answers that you seek already, right? But it's not just going to happen with 1 or 2 books. We have to read widely, and we have to read a lot. That's why reading is such an essential skill for leaders, because we not only have to just do the technique or have the skill, we need to be able to decipher what is working, what's not working, what is real, right? And what is sort of pretend out there. Now, obviously, I'm not saying everything's pretend or there's a lot of pretend materials out there, but you go and do a search on Google and there's a lot of crap out on there, and you've got to be able to decipher, look, who's credibility, who's an authority, all that sort of stuff. But having said that, just getting started to read is very, very important. And I want to show you a few techniques that I use to read and to read lots of books. I spent last year reading 20 or so books in a matter of weeks. And out of that, I just got so much knowledge that essentially I didn't have to read for the rest of the year, because I spent most of the year actioning those skills and strategies that I learned from the books. And it was quite rewarding. And I learned so much from it. So, you don't have to read a book a day. You don't have to read a book a week. You just have to read so that you're exercising your mind. You read so that you're absorbing knowledge. You read so that, you can pass on to your kids or to your family or to your colleagues, right? So reading is this one thing that'll keep your brain trained. Because a lot of people think brain training is those crosswords or those online quizzes and things like that. It's not. Reading can be a very, very powerful brain training mechanism. So what I essentially do is, number one, I'll wake up early. That's pretty common. As I mentioned, most people do that. Another thing that I do as well, I do a lot of audio reading, audio books, even YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. And what you can do, which is pretty cool, is I listen to Audible. And on Audible, I put everything on 2 speed, 2.5 speed, sometimes 3 speed. Right? So what that does is, for a 7-hour book, I mean, you can read it in like 2.5 hours, which is pretty awesome. Right? And on YouTube, you can go to 2 speed, right? Which is pretty cool. If you've got Chrome, you can get a plugin which can go to 3 speed and beyond. Again, pretty cool for those watching, hour-long seminars or something like that, or just videos that go for a while. You can now watch them in 10 minutes. Now, granted, some of them go for really quickly, audio, and you might not get it in your head, but, you can just adjust the speed, right? And get through much more information that way. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what am I going to remember with going through that speed, right? The trick is to actually do it and see how you go, because you can adjust the speed variable. Now, I'm just fortunate that I've been training this for the last 16 years. So I've got the speed thing down pat, and I can get what someone's talking about and remember it very, very fast. But doesn't mean, obviously, you can't. You could be training in other ways as well. So there's the second option there is, double speed, triple speed. Do whatever you can in Audible and videos, and that helps. And the final thing for reading is, I mean, this might be blatantly obvious, but I'll explain it anyway, is just sleeping early. Sleeping early and getting a good night's sleep. Because if you're rested, you're more likely to be ready for action, right? You're more likely to be ready to read, right? Think about it. If you're physically fit and if you're healthy, then you can do more stuff, right? You can go out and go for a run. You can go out and socialize more, but it'll also give you the ability to read more. So have a think about that. Try and do some exercise or walk around. You'll find yourself picking up a book. So I want you to give that a go and test it out and see how you go. So those are the 3 things that'll motivate you to read. I'll get some more reading videos up, and I also have those speed reading videos. And readers are leaders. That's what I've heard, and it's true. But you got to be able to read consistently, effortlessly, and keep at it. Because you might read 10, 20 books at one stage, but then not do it for a while, or just forget about it, or not have the consistency. So try and create some habits and some successful habits around reading, and you'll definitely see the benefits. So for now, I'll be signing off, but work on those. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm more than happy to help. Cheers.